guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Samina Patel and I am a Facebook ads, sales funnel and copywriting coach. If you are a course creator or a coach, then I help you take your business to $10,000 plus months every single month consistently with the power of Facebook ads, sales funnels and copywriting, email marketing and all of that good online marketing stuff. In today's video, I wanted to talk to you about my number one hack to beat procrastination. Now, we are all guilty of procrastinating important tasks that we know we have to get completed, but somehow our mind overpowers our ability and our desire to get this work done. And eventually we keep putting it off and off and off for days and even weeks and sometimes even months at end, and ultimately then we reach a point where there is no option but to get it done, and then we end up doing substandard work that we are not very proud of, and then we tell ourselves that we'll be better next time, but then that cycle never ends. We keep procrastinating, and I know this because I have been doing this for the longest time and it took me a while to figure out what I should be doing. So I really wanted to find a solution to this problem because I knew it wasn't taking me anywhere, and every day I would end the day feeling really upset with myself for not moving closer towards my goals, because that one thing that I have to keep doing that I know is going to help me really progress in my work, I just kept putting it off. There had to be an answer for this, right? And so I thought, and I kind of also knew deep down that the answers that I would find would eventually be in the fact that I had to go back in time and try to figure out how I worked in school when I was, studying, and in college and in school. I had to go back to that time to get my answers. Now, I am a 90s child, and so I grew up without access to a lot of tech gadgets. My prized possession in terms of tech gadgets were basically my Nintendo Game Boy and a gaming console that you had to attach to your television set, and you got a little cassette that had 99 games, arcade games, but let's be honest, really only a few games actually worked in that, but they were my prized possessions. They were my main sources of distraction, so to speak, and I always looked forward to it. And the third sort of distraction that I had in my life back when I was growing up and I was studying in school as a 90s child, it was basically going out with my friends in the evening to play. We would play hide and seek and badminton, and we would invent our own little games. We would socialize. That was how we socialized back when I was growing up. So as you can see, we had fewer distractions growing up, and there was more motivation to get it done so that we could enjoy these distractions. I would spend anywhere between 4 and 6 hours studying after school, and that was important to me because unless and until I finished a certain portion of my studying, I wasn't permitted to go out and play with friends or play with my Game Boy or play with the console. So these were my rewards, so to speak. Now every time that I think back to this time, I always think how disciplined I used to be as a child when I was growing up, and I thought to myself that if I could do this back then when I was so young, and obviously because I was that young, I didn't have that kind of maturity. So if I could show that kind of discipline to stick to my schedule and to get my work done and to finish my homework and to complete my assignments on time and to prepare for my examinations and really score good marks in my exams, then obviously as I grew up along the way, I was missing out on something, or I had lost some kind of structure to my life that gave me that discipline. And I knew that if I had it back then as a child, I can have it right now as well. So that led me to go back in time and really study everything that I was doing back then as a child and how I can replicate those things that I did right so that I can create a successful routine for myself now, be disciplined and stop with the procrastination. And after doing a lot of soul searching, after spending a lot of time trying to analyze everything that I did as a child, trying to make notes and journal everything and figure out what exactly was I doing right at that time, there is only one basic hack, or the only thing basically that came to mind, and that is exactly what I'm going to reveal to you now. So you might think that the number one hack to, beat procrastination must be something really fancy. It must be like a 10-step process or something that you need to do very, very seriously. But really, there's only one way you can beat procrastination, and that's just putting your head down and getting the work done. I know it sounds super simple, stupid simple even, but really there's no other way that I can put this. You just have to put your head down and get that work done. That's it. That's the only way you're going to be able to beat procrastination. And the thing that I realized after going back in time and doing my own analyzing is that it only took me the first 5 minutes. I had to just tell myself that I'm just going to sit here and get it done for 5 minutes, and then I'll see how it goes. But once I got into the task, I got so involved in it that I just did not realize when 2 hours had passed, and finally then I felt that saturation coming in and I had to take a little break. So this is very important. Just get it done. Just tell yourself no. When you have to do it, you just have to do it. Just get in there and just get started. Just tell yourself 5 minutes tops, I'll do it for 5 minutes, and you won't even realize when 2 hours have passed. Now, obviously, to just get it done, there are some tiny steps that you need to take, 3 to be precise, that you need to take that will ensure that you can just get it done. So you can't just get it done if you're not primed to take that action. So there are 3 very important steps that I realized that I used to do even back as a child when I was studying in school, during my homework sessions, and every time I was doing my self-study. So these are the 3 steps that will prime you to just get it done and stop that procrastination. So the number one thing is you have to visualize what your day looks like very clearly even before you begin. Now let me give you an example of what this means. So as a child, when we were in school, we had a fixed timetable. We had 40 minutes of each session. So we started school at say 7 in the morning. So from 7 to 7:40, we'd have a language session, and then from 7:40 to 8:15 or 8:20, we'd have science or history or geography or something like this. So every 40 minutes we had a session, and then we had a little break after I'd say 4 or 5 sessions. We'd have a recess for half an hour, and then we'd go back for another 4 sessions or so before we were done for the day. So we had the timetable and we knew exactly what we had to do on Monday, exactly the books we had to carry for Monday, exactly the kind of books we had to carry for Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on for the rest of the week. So we knew exactly what we were doing on that day in school. Similarly, then when we came back home from school, I had a timetable for my self-study time as well. So on Monday, I would spend 2 hours or 3 hours studying a chapter in history. We used to have pre-prepared questions that our teachers and professors would dictate to us, and it would be like a long answer that we had to memorize. And there were about 6 or 7 of these questions. So I would spend 3 hours reading the chapter, then learning the answers, and then closing the book and revising the answers and answering it back to myself. So if I get lost somewhere, I would refer to the book again and then close the book again and then close my eyes and then say the answers out loud. I can still visualize myself doing that. And so every day, even before I started the day, I knew exactly what I had to do in order to accomplish that little goal, whether I felt like it or not. And let me remind you, this is not about what you feel like doing, but what you have to do to get closer to your goals. That's it. There is no other way to put this. It doesn't matter how you feel, it matters what you have to do. If you want to reach a certain goal, if you want to make 10K months, then it doesn't matter how you feel about that task. Of course, there are other aspects to this. If you don't feel good, if you feel down and you feel like a day for self-care is needed, then that's your call. And it's obviously, mental health is so much more important, but this isn't about that. This is about how you feel regarding the task that you have to do. Sometimes you procrastinate and you put off that task because it doesn't feel very exciting to you, or it doesn't feel very fun to you, or it feels like a lot of work. This is where you have to tell yourself, it doesn't matter what you feel. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you just have to do to reach to that 10K mark. If you feel shy showing up on video, I was always uncomfortable showing up on video, but here we are. Everything that you're telling yourself is just an excuse. So don't focus on how you feel, focus on what needs to be done about that task. That's important. You just have to do it. My second step that will prime you to just get it done and to beat procrastination is to keep your distractions to a minimum and avoid getting distracted at any cost. So I've read Cal Newport's book Deep Work, and I highly recommend that you do too, because this book literally changed my life, and I'm not even exaggerating. So basically, again, when I link it back to my school days, I think to the time when distractions were literally so barely there, I could literally count my distractions on my fingertips, right? So for me, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, my distractions included the Game Boy, the gaming console, maybe a Walkman. That's what we used to listen to music on till the iPod came in. So the Walkman, or maybe the radio, and my friends. We used to play badminton or hide and seek in our apartment complex, or we'd go to the park. So these were literally my distractions. But today, we are bombarded by distractions from literally every direction that we can think of. Getting distracted is as simple as opening a new tab on your desktop or your laptop, or simply swiping or clicking on your devices. You have watches that can distract you, you have your phones, you have your smartphones, you have your iPads and your desktop and your laptop. There's like a bazillion devices that can distract you every single time that you're trying to sit and get focused work done. Now, can you imagine if I was studying back in school, I had like 10 answers to prepare for my history or my geography lesson, and I had like map drawing and locate places on the map and things like that, and I had to memorize the different crops and the soil quality in different states of the country. Do you really think that I would be able to get all of that done? Like science stuff, there's so much to learn, right? And we used to really learn the difficult stuff, math, geometry, algebra. There was so much to retain, to absorb, to first of all learn and then retain all of that information. And can you imagine if we were distracted every 3 seconds? If I'm studying right here and then suddenly my phone goes off, or my watch goes off, or my laptop pings, or there's notifications everywhere. Nothing would be done if that were the case. And that's the reason why I realized that I was able to get so much done, and I would be able to absorb and retain so much information because my distractions were at a bare minimum. Barely anything. The only distraction I would say at the time was someone walking into my room while I was studying, and I had to suddenly break my focus from here to look who it is, or someone rang the doorbell and I had to get up and answer the door. That was literally what distractions were for me, and now when you look at it, it's a completely different ball game. And that's the reason why the second step that you really really need to take to prime yourself towards just getting things done and to beat procrastination is to make sure that you keep your phone away when you are on your laptop. You are only doing the work that you are supposed to do, and until and unless you are done with that, do not open a new tab, no matter how much you are tempted to. If it works for you, then stick something on a wall in front of you, a post-it or something that tells you the goal that you want to achieve. And every time that thing comes into your mind that you're itching to just go to YouTube and watch a video, or to go to Netflix and finish a series that you've started, just look at that post-it right in front of your wall and remind yourself why you want that so bad. And instantly it will bring you back to your work. Get that work done, and then you can reward yourself to a video or one episode of a series or something like that. That's the reason why distractions need to be kept to a minimum so you can focus on your work and get it done. The next, that is the final tip that I want to share with you that will really prime you to making things happen and to beat procrastination and just get your work done. It is to eat the ugliest and the biggest frog first. I read about that concept in this little book here, not sponsored of course. It's just one of those books that I absolutely loved because it just set the wheels in motion for me. It's called Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. So I would really recommend that you read this book. It's so good for people who keep procrastinating. So in this book, basically Brian Tracy talks about eating the biggest and the ugliest frog first. Now this is the kind of task that you know is the most important but also the most boring, or something that you're really dreading. The second you get it done first thing in the morning, the minute you start working, do not look at your emails, do not look at your phone, do not look at anything that can distract you from it. Just put your head down and finish that big task. Not only will it be done and out of the way for your day and be done with it, what it will also do is that it will give you a sense of accomplishment that you have done something good for today, and you can then proceed and finish off the tasks that are not that important for the day, or they won't have as much impact as this big task had. Now again, I related this back to how I used to actually implement this in real time when I was in school, and you'll be surprised to know that this is probably something we all did. Okay, so when it was exam time, right, so say 3 weeks later or 4 weeks later, I have an exam coming up, an important 100-mark paper. So weeks before that, what I would do is we'd have all these previous year question papers that we in the form of textbooks. We would have previous year question papers that we were recommended to solve, because that would give us an idea of what the exam would look like and how we'll be able to manage our time effectively. So this was basically setting a timer on your phone for 3 hours and just going right and treating it as a mock exam, so to speak. And it was the most dreaded and the most boring thing to do, because it just meant that for the next 3 hours you had to treat that time as your exam time. It literally was the biggest task for the day, if that is what was assigned for me for that day, if that's what I planned to do on that day. That was the biggest task for me and the most dreaded one. So the minute I would get up in the morning, I would have my breakfast, I would shut the door to my room, and I would just set a timer on my alarm. That time we didn't have phones, so I would set a timer on my alarm and I would just put my head down and go for it. There was no stopping, and once I was done with that, it was a big relief, and then I could proceed with learning some other concepts that I had planned for that day. So this is how I used to actually study, and when I look back to all these things that I did as a school child, I realized that I was so much more disciplined back then, and somewhere along the way I just lost that discipline. But if we had it before, there is no reason why we can't have it now. Whether you realize it or not, whether you were a good student or not, we all had a certain amount of discipline which sailed us through those moments, which brought us here where we are. It doesn't matter what grades you score, but the thing is, we had to, whether we liked it or not, we had to go through that phase. We had to give the exams, we had to study, we just had to do it whether we liked it or not. And here, when we are actually working towards our businesses, we actually really enjoy what we do, right? This is exactly what we were meant to do. This is exactly the kind of work that brings us so much joy and happiness. And so if we dreaded back then in school all of the stuff that we did, but we still got it done, then why are we putting it off when we actually love doing the work that we do? So I just want you to make that mindset shift and stop looking at it as an option, but something that has to be completed if you want to reach those 10K months. It's as simple as that. I really hope you enjoyed this video and that it had a lot of value, and I really hope that you begin implementing this right away and beat that procrastination and get to your 10K months. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.